Hey everybody, how you doing? It is Tuesday, the 23rd, and August 23rd, and I just wanted to touch base with what we're doing today. Today is a lot of you work. It's not a lot of heavy lifting necessarily. There's not a lot of difficult work to do, but there's a lot of things that you need to be doing on your own. Okay, and so I just want to kind of touch base with you a little bit. Seniors will be reading the first part of Beowulf. And juniors will be reading the first part of To Build a Fire. Now, we're going to read these texts and we're going to be using the text for the rest of the week and into next week as we continue to look at characterization and the next week theme. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are very familiar with the text. And to do so, we're going to give you time to read today and to be doing those annotations. Let's take a quick look at what those annotations are and how to be doing them. And just for the example here, I'm going to pull up the senior one here. Remember, we talked about annotations as a process, the things that you do to give you a better chance of understanding the text, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to skim the text. That's the first thing we're going to do, right? We're going to take just 5 minutes and skim through it. That's important because that gives you that quick take, and it also lets you see like what sticks, right? Like what jumped out at you, what did you capture, what kind of sense did you get? Is it going to be easy to read, hard to read, difficult, big words, little words, lots of that? What is going on here, right? We don't expect you to really read every single word. We don't really expect that. That's not the goal. The goal is just to skim through and get a quick feel of it. When you are done with it, at the bottom of the first page, there's a place where you're going to type in your reactions, right? Okay, I just got done skimming. What do I remember? What sticks to me? What were the things that kind of made sense to me? We talked before about how those are things that we recognize or that we're familiar with already, or we connect with, or something else that made it kind of bubble to the top. And to remember, uh, don't forget, there's no right or wrong answer on this. Okay, there is no one answer we expect you to see, or we expect you to get certain pieces from that. But we do want you to get kind of familiar, just really kind of briefly familiar with the text. Once you've done that, then you're going to actually do the reading for comprehension. This is where you're going to really dig into the reading, okay? And you're going to do that with three color highlighting. And the key of this is at the top of the text for you already. We'll be doing this digitally, okay? So you can use your highlighting tool on your Google Docs. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight in yellow the things that you don't understand. Now, I know that most of the time you think, oh, I don't get this word. I know what this means, or what is this thing, right? I get that. And that's going to be, that's a good place to start. That's a good place to start. But also think about like, why did something happen? Or why did the character do this? Or what were they thinking, right? So it's not just, I don't understand this word, okay? But it's, I don't understand the concept. I don't understand this idea, or I have a question. I need clarification on it. Kind of think of it as this, like, hey, Wells, can you help me understand this piece right here, right? Those would be some really good things to underline in yellow and to make those questions to the side. One thing I do like to remind you and point out to you is that, we identify those words that we don't get, and then we look those up. Now, I don't think you need to look up every single word that you don't understand, but I think if it is difficult to understand the passage and understand what's going on, then you will want to look up those words, right? If you have a sense of what's going on, it may not be as important to look up every single word, okay? But again, we do expect to see you working on that and making those comments. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to highlight in blue the things that are important. Those are those test questions: name, place, date, time, main action, plot twist, things like that. The things that you would probably need to know for a test. Now, the thing about this is that you will probably see the blue things bubble up again in the purples, okay? And that's fine. If you don't get it in blue, you get it in purple, that'll be okay. If you highlight something in blue and then later you say, oh, that could be purple too, you can underline it or put like, circle it with the other color. It's fine. So you'd recognize that it would be both. The last step then is, or the next to last step then will be to use the purple highlighter, and that will be to highlight the things that you feel reveal the characterization of Beowulf, right? And then the setting of the story. Uh, we are looking for the person and who he is and what he is and what we know about him and what his motivations are, and his character traits and those kinds of things. Remember, we've talked about the steal method: speech, thought, effect, actions, and looks. Okay, so those kinds of things help us understand what the author is sharing with about the character. Also, remember that we talk about direct characterization, where the author tells us something directly, and then indirect, we had to guess it from what was going on or in the story. Um, you're also looking for the setting of the story, right? And that's going to be the wheres. Now, don't forget that that's going to be like at the very beginning of the story, or typically it's going to be the beginning of the story. But there's sometimes that story might shift, right? Like it might go from here to here to here. Okay. The seniors are going to be looking for the characterization of Beowulf. The juniors will be looking for the characterization of the lone hiker, the main character, the narrator of the story, right? And the hiker who is out with his dog walking across the frozen Yukon. The last thing then you will do is write a summary of the text. That shows us that you were able to digest the story and that you understand it. This should be 3, 4, 5 sentences, a paragraph or so. If you write one sentence, you have not summarized it. Um, Again, think about how you could retell this story to somebody else in 30 seconds, right? Like, what would you say so that somebody else understood the story? That is the summary, and that is those will be the sentences that you use, right? Again, we are going to be using these texts for the rest of the week and then into next week. So you'll want to make sure that you do this reading. Today, this is all you're going to be doing is just the readings. Okay. So please make sure that you stay focused. During this time, earbuds, if you are in class, earbuds and things are acceptable and fine, right? I am assuming at home, then you can be listening to whatever kind of music you want to, however you want to be listening to it, right? But again, it is important that you get through the text because we will be using this text the rest of the week. And then we will be reading a second text next week. And then the two of those will be used together. If you have any questions about what we're doing, how to do it, or if you get stuck in the text, please make sure you're reaching out to Ms. McGuire. Good luck, everybody.